Legacy sequels keep on getting new kinds of twists. And I mean Twisters. It is finally here, starring new leads, Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones. And we're going to break all down the greatness of a Legacy sequel with guest star Josh Titan on this episode of this podcast.
I scream, you scream for movies, and that's what we be doing.
What is going on, movie fans? Welcome to I Screen, You Scream for number 4 for movies. I'm Danny Escamalaji. Before we get started on this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you're listening to the podcast. And if you're watching this through YouTube, subscribe on them as well. Follow my Twitter and TikTok. They'll both be in the show notes of the description for each episode. But ladies and gentlemen, I have to bring this gentleman back from Furiosa, which was one of the biggest summer bombs of the year. But of course, we figured this would be a movie I think will do fine, but we'll just see in our terms of what it does, because we are recording this before the box office full opening. But anyways, allow me to bring back Josh Titan from his own YouTube channel. You know what? Josh Titan, I don't know how to fucking put this shit in my mind, but fuck it, we're doing it live. But this is Josh Titan. Welcome back, man.
What's up, everyone? I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for allowing me back, Danny. This is going to be amazing to talk about a movie like this after we had to talk about a bomb. Hopefully that this will be a hit, but yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for allowing me to come back.
Of course. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking Twisters, which is a legacy sequel to 1996 Twister, starring Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. And in the sequel, which it's more likely as a standalone sequel, if you agree with me, Josh. This is starring one of the most notable stars right now, who's coming his A game to the top. You got another star who had a big summer hit from 2 years ago. I'm talking Glenn Powell from Top Gun Maverick. I'm talking Daisy Edgar Jones from Where the Crawdads Sing. And you got a bunch of support cast in this movie too, which a lot of them we're going to bring up to the support, but I'm ready to bring down the thoughts of this movie. I cannot wait. So, Josh, as a guest, I'm gonna let you handle it first. What did you think of Twisters, comparing it to the first one?
Comparing it to the first one, it's actually an interesting story because I watched the original Twister just a couple years ago for the first time, and actually I didn't like it at all. I found it kind of boring. I just didn't think it had a lot going for it. But then I rewatched the first Twister just like a couple days ago, and I actually found I like it a lot. I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10. I really like the Shining sequence, the when they're driving through the house, and I just love the whole cast there. So going into this one, I was really excited. I thought the trailers were really excellent. And I also had a great time with this one. I actually do like this one better than the original. I know some people are still going to like the original more because for nostalgia factors. But man, I thought that this movie just worked so well as just a summer blockbuster. Just a lot of fun in the theaters. You're going with family, you're going with friends. You could basically see with anyone. I think it's only PG-13, but there's nothing really in it that would detract from like a little kid seeing it. But it's a lot of fun. Lee Isaac Chung, the director of this one, who also directed Minari, did so well at bringing like beauty to tornadoes. Like you see a tornado develop on screen, you're just like in awe, even though this thing is going to, destroy a city, destroy a town, kill people at the same time. It just was a very beautiful movie. It was a lot of very charismatic characters, a lot of energy that I just loved. Just filled me with so much joy to finally have a summer blockbuster that can hopefully make some money. But yeah, I really thought this one was just a lot of fun.
For me, I did get to see the first Twister. I watched it on Max a few days ago, and it's like I wasn't fully pulled in because I wasn't one of those people who saw these stuff, and I was not born when Twister came out. I was born in like right in the 2000 era. So as I seen Twister, it wasn't the first star wasn't my cup of tea until later in the movie. It started to pull me in. Like, let's say towards the second act, after the second act, it started to pull me in a lot more. So I like this one a lot. And now going to Twisters, the trailers, like you said, they were awesomely phenomenal. I love this way more than the first because I liked the likable stars that are in our generation. And look, I'm not a Helen Hunt fan or a Bill Paxton fan, but those were solid leads in the last one.
Yeah, it's
And
solid.
Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones coming up from big hits and such. I mean, okay, I will say Daisy Edgar's not butts in the seats yet, but she's likable right now for sure.
Yeah, she's not busting the
Glenn
seats, but she's getting there.
Glenn Powell though, the star. Look, here's what I'm gonna call him. And I'm sure you saw my tweet already. I don't know if I send you it. I'm sure. I don't know if you
Yes,
looked at
sir.
it,
I
but
saw that. Great tweet.
Hangman. I'm literally calling him Hangman because Top Gun Maverick is, remind you all, for those that haven't been listening to my show, is one of my all-time movies of all time. It's my favorite. Nothing beats it. I don't give a damn. One of the biggest legacy sequels ever. My anticipation as I started this podcast was so bigger. So that's the moment I know Glenn Powell is from that movie. And I started to look at this guy. Such an amazing lead. We'll go into that more in just a second. But as for Twisters, it's awesome. It's an awesome experience at the cinemas. Spectacle all over. This is why we still go to movies for these pictures. And it's just way special. But am I saying it's like the best to Top Gun? No, of course not. I don't think it's truly the best against Top Gun Maverick. Of course not. It's good in the way, but it, wasn't nostalgic enough for, let's say, people's sakes. I mean, it does have a little missing elements. And I'm guessing, one of the bad parts of this weaknesses is that it's nothing innovative for this movie. If we're talking story, I mean, it's nothing the same, new, of course. I mean, surprisingly. So, other than that, old school blockbuster. And I think this applies to all ages because, like you said, it's PG-13. It's nothing really mature for like adults bringing their kids for, maturity stuff. This is like Top Gun level PG-13 where kids came to see this. And I think this is one of those generational movies. And believe me or not, I saw this. You and I saw this, not together, but let's just say in our own. We saw this in early screening, which was on Wednesday, July
Yeah.
17th. A lot of adults showed up. I can't tell how ages, but I'm guessing over 30s, 35s. It tells you those are the audiences that seen the first one they've been coming back to the movies. And that's a good thing because Top Gun Maverick was one of those movies that pulled more the older demos. And I'm expecting Twisters to be the same, and it did. We'll see what this weekend goes, but young people can get into this too and watch the first Twister, which, by the way, it's a good thing too. It's not a direct sequel. This is a standalone, which that's one of the weaknesses to me. I thought maybe Twisters is different than Twister, but people can go in this movie blindly and not know, like, there'll be some little drop callbacks, which I think there was one of them. But other than that, this is like fresh anyone could go into because of the new stars, because of what Twisters is, what Twister means. I mean, it's one of those movies, I think, in 1996. I mean, it was slept on for some reason. It was a giant hit next to Independence Day as one of the biggest summer movies of all time of that year. And Twisters, I had Jeff Bach on in the summer preview episode. You guys can check out the summer preview episode. And he mentioned that he thinks and clearly states Twisters is going to be the biggest movie of the summer, which not the case anymore because you have Inside Out and then Deadpool's going to be pulling in hard. But this is going to be one of the biggest hits, I can tell, if it has the legs. But we'll get to that little prediction going forward at the end of the episode, which won't be too lasting long. But other than that, Twisters, highly recommend summer movies. If anyone listening to this or watching this on YouTube, definitely recommend. You don't need to watch the first one for my sake. Just go into the sequel and, you don't need any like clues whatsoever for what the last one did. So nothing. So, I want to go up to Glenn Powell real quick. I think we're ready to get into this, the performance and the cast of this movie. Can we call him Tom Cruise Jr. or Tom Cruise II? Because right now, I'm loving this guy in every way. He's got charisma, charismatic, the charming, what he brings in these movies he's done. And by the way, I saw Hitman. Great movie on Netflix. I saw it with my dad. Great movie. We both acknowledge to him. This guy is likable all over. He's done Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney. He's done, like I said, Maverick. He's done, well, Devotion wasn't a big hit, but he's still likable in this movie. And then he was in a rom-com with Zoe Deutsch called what's it called? God dang, what's on
I forget
Netflix?
what
What's
that
it?
one's called, but it's really good. He was also in the
It's
Spy
really
Kids
good.
3 when he was a
Spy
little
Kids
kid.
3. Oh, dude,
Spy
yeah.
Kids 3D.
Wow, okay.
What a weird movie that was.
Yeah. Other than that, Glenn Powell is just bringing the show. He's bringing his star to the next level and explains why he's in this movie. He's a draw to me, and I think people, the young audiences, and sometimes maybe the oldsters, are so relatable to him. They would love to see Glenn Powell on a movie screen, which I think for nowadays he should start doing theatrical movies than streaming, because at this point you don't want to be streaming too much where it just wanes your star power. It's Tom Cruise will always want. He wants to be on a big screen. I'm just comparing this because Glenn Powell is almost like Tom Cruise at this point. Glenn should keep doing theatrical stuff only, and maybe do. I just don't think should be doing more streaming anymore. Because if Hitman came out, could have been a hit. Everyone loves this movie. He's like Tom Cruise right there in that movie. And tell you what, I can't wait to see what he does next. I mean, lots of Glenn Powell in the future. I guarantee you. All right, Josh, I'm throwing this a lot, but what do you think of Glenn in this movie? And do you think he'll become the level of Tom Cruise in the future?
You know, I thought Glenn Powell was easily my favorite performance in the movie, even though there are a lot of other great performances. I just think that he had, kind of like the most to do. Even when he shows up in the movie for the first time, you kind of sit up in your seat because you're like, oh, okay, we're getting into a little bit more fun here, a little bit more energy. And yeah, he brings the energy alongside his crew because his crew in this movie is more the energetic crew. They're more like the go get it, kind of crew. Good, they don't care about danger. They don't care about anything. They're just going to get it. So I thought that he was amazing here. He of course looks excellent. He's gonna appeal to the guys because he's cool, but he's gonna appeal to the girls because they think he's hot. So he appeals to everyone in this sense. But yeah, on the topic of will he be the new Tom Cruise? Will he be a new Tom Cruise? I feel like yeah, he has a chance to be a new Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, he became famous for like the action movies and all that, but he also became, the superstar that he is because of how he takes control of his roles, how he does go for different roles. I haven't seen Tom Cruise go in many comedies. I think he's been in a couple, but he's also been doing some drama roles with, Eyes Wide Shut. And then, oh, he did have that one comedy. I forgot what that movie is called, but he did have a couple comedies in there. And Glenn Powell, he already has some comedies in there, some action movies in there with, as we said, Top Gun Maverick, Twisters, and then Anyone But You, which wasn't that great in my eyes, but I had a fun time with The Hitman. Also, yeah, as we said, a great comedy that should have went to theaters. But yeah, I do think that Glenn Powell, if he wants to get to this Tom Cruise status and maybe not get too overproduced in a sense, I would lean into different genres. Maybe like a hard drama. To see what he can do in like a big serious role. I mean, his one big serious role is probably his little role in The Dark Knight Rises when Bane comes up to him in the stock market and kind of like almost kills him there. But I would like to see Glenn Powell go for some serious roles so we can get on the level of Tom Cruise. But I think he has the comedy roles down, he has the action roles down. So yeah, I think he has a big chance in the next 5 to 10 years if his box office is strong like Tom Cruise to become someone like Tom Cruise. But I really enjoyed him in this movie. I as you said, he just brings so much charisma, brings the energy. So yeah, he's my favorite performance in the movie. I thought he's just doing excellent right now.
Daisy Edgar Jones from The Word of Crawdads Sing, which again, one of the biggest hits of summer 2022. She doesn't sound how she sounds like when she talks. She's going into a new accent, which she sounds beautiful. The way I hear her voice, the way how she brings the joy and brings like the likable feel of this character. And this character seems something almost like Helen Hunt in a way, except the backstory of her wasn't the same as like Helen Hunt's character in Twister. But I can sense this. Daisy Edgar Jones is so lovable. I think she was awesome in this movie. She was great. It's a lot to like wonder what she'll do next, but if she keeps doing movies like this and her own accent like this, I mean, I think I think the guys will be drooling all over. Probably me at some point, but I mean, what in a way of that, I think she's so awesome in this movie. I loved Daisy in this movie. She was great in this film. I thought her and Glenn Powell had good chemistry, almost a romance in the way. And look, almost had the romance with Anthony Ramos, who's also the support in this movie. I still think she blends and gets along everybody at this point. I mean, have you seen the video that she did with like Anthony and Glenn, the dancing video or something this
Oh
past
yeah,
week?
the TikTok with like
Yeah,
the
the
Charlie X
TikTok
the
thing.
X
It's
dance.
so
Mhm.
clever. I love it. So, you know, I hope she keeps bringing the energy and off the filming, off the field. And great presence. I do love a lot of Daisy Edgar Jones in this film for sure. Anyways, what did you think of her in this movie, Josh?
Well, I will say this is probably a part where we disagree on just a little bit, and I'm not gonna say that
That's
she's
fine.
yeah, I'm not gonna say that she's bad in the movie. I just have a feeling that the script kinda didn't give her a lot of, big, moments like it did for, like, someone like Glenn Powell. I think, because
Yeah.
we're not going into any spoilers here, but she does deal with something in the beginning, and that's where we see her character, like, the peppiest is in the beginning. Then the rest of the film, after she deals with whatever happens in the beginning, she's not really that peppy. She doesn't have any pep in her step. She's kind of just keeping to herself just a little bit, which I understand, but I wish she was a little more energetic to match the other characters. And as you said here, she is becoming to be a big star. But what's special about her is that she basically started in like TV in a sense with the Normal People show, but then she's in the Under the Banner of Heaven, which is another great show. But then she has now transitioned more into movies with the movie on Fresh on Hulu. That's a great one. And then, as we said, Where the Crawdads Sing. Funny story about that. I remember going to that movie at early screening. I was like the only guy to see that movie. I didn't have any interest to see it. I just wanted to review it, but it did make a lot of money with all the girls seeing it. I mean, she's in Twisters here. As I said, I didn't think that she was one of my favorite characters, but her performance was still good. I think the script was the issue with that. And with a disaster movie, you can't really hope for a great script. But I thought that she looked amazing here. I thought that she had, I thought she had a cool something to do in the beginning, as we said, and that little love triangle, as we said. I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I didn't think that she was really amazing here, but that's not really her fault because I think that she's amazing in her other projects. But yeah, I love to see her do a lot more other movies, especially bigger movies like this, because I think she fit into this crew pretty well.
It can relate to other people that may not have loved her a lot in this movie. Like you said, the script, I do think, I mean, at least some had some crowd pleasing moments. I think people were laughing, especially my theater were laughing at some of the parts she done. And, a few words of that. But other than that, yeah, I understand. I hope to see what she does in the future, and we'll see where it stands with her after Twisters. Because yeah, like I understand that you may not be fully lovable to her in this movie, but it's fine. Um, I'm sure everyone else may loved her as well, and like this one, I mean, find her pretty cool, pretty funny. A lot to unpackage for what she did in this movie, but she's all right in this movie, But as much as Helen Hunt, I think she's more likable that people would like to because of her character. I mean, she didn't have any like the scripting wasn't an issue with the last one, so I'm thinking she just does it really well than what Daisy did. But I can relate to that. I mean, this is probably the best that if Daisy was Helen Hunt in this movie, I mean, could have been so could have been a lot to her. Anthony Ramos, great support. I think he's fine. He's from Transformers: Rise of the Beast. That's the last thing I saw from him. He was also from In the Heights, the musical movie from Warner Brothers years ago. And I don't think he's a star, butts in the States, but great support. What do you think of Anthony Ramos in this film?
I thought Anthony Ramos was pretty good. He kind of was in the love triangle, as we said, between them. You can tell by the trailers that's pretty obvious what's happening there. Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. He has this little side plot with a little company that he works with in the film. I didn't feel like that was really well realized. I didn't really care about that and the people that he worked with. I kind of do think that we had a little too many people in the movie, a little too many people to focus on. When we dealt with some characters like Anthony Ramos, I was like, just get back to Glenn Powell. I just want to see him at this stage. But I thought that Anthony Ramos's character Javi was good in certain situations. Basically, alongside when he's alongside Daisy Edgar Jones, I think he's at his best there. I will say that there's some other great supporting performances, but I'll let you talk about those first.
Can we talk about the man who's gonna wear the cape next year? I just didn't realize a lot of times in this movie, David Cornsweet. Isn't that nice? We're getting another Superman with another fresh CEO of DC. And man, I'm gonna tell you, great support. What did you think of him in this movie?
I thought David Cornsweet was great. He's probably like my third, fourth favorite of the movie because what's funny about here, I expected him to be kind of like a nice character, and he's not really a nice character. He's kind of like a little bit of an evil character. He doesn't really care for anyone else. So it's kind of funny to see him playing that character in here. Then next year, you're going to see him playing like this really nice character, really nice down to earth character who just wants to help people. In this one, he has other intentions that we won't get into, but I thought he did really good. I think David Cornsweet, I saw him in Pearl. I think he just has a great way of speaking, and I just think that he just delivers his lines so well. So I thought he was also pretty great too.
Any supports we should bring up? Because I think that's almost everything I brought up. I mean, Anthony Ramos, Cornsweet. There's Katie O'Brien. Eh, you know what I mean? She's from like Love Lies Bleeding, and then she's gonna be Mission Impossible 8. I mean,
I
I thought
did
she
like
was a great
Katie
president.
O'Brien. I did
Oh,
like her a
okay.
decent bit. And probably my other big stand is Brandon Pereira from he was in Nope.
How did
He
I
was so
forget
good.
that?
Dude,
He
he
was
was so
so
good.
entertaining, dude.
He brought this he matched the energy of Glenn Powell and brought even more. Like when he was like launching rockets off the truck, I was like, this guy is matching all the energy, bringing all the energy. I think that he deserves a lot more roles because I've only seen him in this and Nope. I don't think he's been getting that many other ones, but I think that he's just a terrific watch, very entertaining as you said, and just brings all the energy. I thought that him and Glenn were the most energetic of the cast. Anytime I saw any of them, they're always yelling, making me smile. So yeah, I thought that he's my favorite of the supporting cast, and the whole cast overall was
I
really
can't.
great.
Thanks for bringing him up. I just didn't real. For I no, I knew it, but I just forgot to it in my head. But as you mentioned it, it just popped up. Brandon Pura. He's from Jordan Peele's Nope. He was fun in this movie. I didn't praise him enough. I don't know if I think I did in my episode of Nope years ago. But all I can tell you, give this guy more roles like this, and I'm sure he's gonna bring it to the table. Or you know what, make him into an MCU film for all I care. Make him to a DC. Anything. Brandon Pearl, I think he's a great value. Not butts in the seats, but a great value for sure. All right. With all the cast down, let's go to the sounds and the VFX that brought this presence to this movie. It's not a natural disaster thriller without these sounds and VFX. I mean, if we're looking at Twister, it does have some computer imagery tornadoes, but in this one, it doesn't feel like this for some reason. You know, modern technology. So I thought I thought the CGI computer imagery of VFX of the tornadoes were improved imagery wise, and the sound is pretty incredible when you're watching this on a bigger screen and you're watching this in like IMAX or something. Gives you the whole story. You're just in the movie experiencing a spectacle. How did you feel in those movie in that part of the moments in this movie, Josh?
Yeah, I thought the sound effects and the VFX were really well realized. As you said, I was lucky enough to see this in IMAX, of course, with the early showing, and I thought the sound there is awesome. Like when you ever go to IMAX, you always hope for good sound design with the movie because the sound's usually louder. So I thought that this one really worked well. It wasn't too loud, wasn't too quiet, but right where you wanted it to be. And I will say this though, I had a friend who saw it in the 40x with like the moving seats, the water coming at them. They felt like that was like a really fun blast. I could never do 40x because I like to focus on the movie, but if you want a really fun time, go see it in 40x or go see it in IMAX. And then, as we said, the VFX look great. And as you said, from the original, it's funny that we bring it up because the original tornadoes in Twister kind of just like look like dirt tornadoes. They don't really look like what a tornado would look like, which is just wind in a cloud and kind of just darkness in there that sense. And I thought the VFX here were great. As I said, I thought it was really beautiful to see the tornadoes and just develop on screen with the characters. I thought it was just a really cool sense just to see that. And I loved how basically almost all of it was filmed on location. There wasn't a lot of green screen here, and there
Right.
wasn't a lot, of set sound stages, except probably for the end set piece. But yeah, I thought that that was really well done, and just seeing all the rain come down, seeing them, in a tornado was really cool. And this isn't a spoiler, but in the trailer, you see a fire tornado, and that was so sick. I was kind of
That's
blown
sick.
away by that. That
Oh
thing
my
was
god.
stupid crazy. And if Twister is famous for having a cow flying in a tornado, Twister should be famous for having a fire tornado because that was really well realized. So great. I loved all the effects here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, this film is completely filmed in like what the sense of like Twister, because I feel that when I noticed a picture of this movie. So I thought with the way they shoot this movie and the way what Twister did feels like that from the 1996. At least that brings nostalgic picture of audiences that remember seeing a movie like that. And like, this wasn't shot in IMAX or anything, but this is like unique as I thought. So if this was Christopher Nolan, I guarantee he'd do that same thing, but he'll probably shoot this in 35 or 70 mm or something. And I would have thought this would have done the same, but um, this is like a feel of like that to 1996 Twister with the film picture. So, what did you think of the presence of that?
I don't have a lot of thoughts about that, but I do kind of agree with how you're talking about how it's, feels the same. And they did shoot this on, I think it was Kodak film. So of course it's going to have that grainy look, which I feel like was the better idea here. Because if you shot it in digital, I think it would just look a little, I think the tornadoes would look a little fake. They look a little, a little too
Right.
glossy. So I think the film looked like the original, as you said, and I think it just looked better for the whole entire VFX department in that sense. So yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on comparing it to the original.
Um, that's all the goods I have. I mean, is there any goods you want to share, or do you have any like weaknesses to the movie at all before we like talk about legacy sequels?
My probably my biggest weakness would be the script, even though you shouldn't really go into this movie asking for a great script. I think the characters, there's a little too many characters in there for me to really care about them all because I only really cared about a couple there. But of course, you're going into a disaster movie for a fun time. You're going into this for tornadoes. You're not going into it for like an A+ script. So I don't really have any weaknesses there, but this is my just little gripes.
As like I said, as a legacy sequel, it's nothing innovative for the story, and I thought it could have been just like that, but I was expecting to be another Grey's Legacy sequel. So, but it does a good job of bringing the thrills and chills of a natural disaster. So at least there's that, and cast too. At least that's that. So again, let's talk about legacy sequels because this is a legacy sequel we never had since Top Gun Maverick. Maverick's my all-time movie. Twisters doesn't feel like that, and that's just way different. What I mean, like Maverick was innovative in the way with new characters, story, and generational characters that came back in this movie. That movie. So, if anything, Twisters doesn't have that feel, and that's what's pretty much missing. That's why I wasn't like cling to it much as I thought with the Twister and Twisters, and you know, it's standalone. So that's the only kind of slight major weakness it does have. And I wish some characters came back like the first one. I think it would have been just great as presence, especially most of them didn't die in the last one. So I thought maybe they'd be cameoed or something or like thrown in, I just thought this is what Top Gun Maverick did. You bring Val Kilmer back as Iceman. Such a big presence. And I was thinking the same thing maybe if, Kate Cooper or Tyler Owens, played by the actors Clint Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones. I thought they would have some relatives related to those characters last one, but it just didn't feel like that. So it's not sort of the greatest legacy, but I think it's refreshing for those who are going into this movie. So, like I said, that's not much homework to do when you go into this movie like this. So that's why you don't need to pretty much watch the first one. Josh, what is your comparison to this movie with legacy sequels like that with Twisters?
My comparison is kind of like, as you said, it doesn't really feel like as grand as you think a legacy sequel would be. Because as you said, we don't have a lot of cameos. There's not a lot of callbacks. to like bigger moments in Twister. And I would say, even though Twister was a pretty big film when it came out, I don't think it's really lasted as long as, something like Top Gun has lasted, in the sense of people finding it when they're like our age in this new time period and really enjoying it. I think the issue with this one is that, it's Twister didn't really need a legacy sequel. Like, they all don't really need a legacy sequel. But it's something about, if we're going to compare it to Top Gun is one where we're like, oh yeah, we kind of want another one, because we want to see, everyone continue their journeys there. But since as we said that there's not really any cameos here, it doesn't really feel like a sequel in sense. It kind of just feels like, I'd say, a reboot, and maybe they're trying to build off this one to go for another sequel. So what pushes this one just a little bit farther down the, legacy canon sequel-esque era, is that it doesn't really feel like a sequel, just feels like a reboot. So I feel like that's one major misstep. As you said, no cameos, no major callbacks. So I have a hard time calling it a legacy sequel. I just call it like a legacy reboot at this point.
Yeah, you're right. It's sort of like a reboot. And like I said, people don't need to watch the first one if this is a standalone to this movie. So, yeah. But other than that, do we think it sucks? Of course not. I think it's one of those movies you got to go see on the bigger screen, IMAX, Dolby, 4DX, before the following week. And I think we'll get to this right now. Let's make a quick prediction before we get off this air. It comes out with Deadpool and Wolverine as a gigantic must-see summer people have been waiting on. And it's going to get all those PLFs from that film for Twisters. So in that regards, it's pretty damning that Universal or Warner Brothers didn't want to move this up a week, because they would have had like 2 weeks of PLFs before the big crowd takes them all over. And remember, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning was in the same situation. It came out 5 days earlier to July 12th. And then it's not enough for the PLFs to be gain control until Oppenheimer took them over. And Barbie, with Barbenheimer, Dead Reckoning did not have great holds because of those phenomenons. So I'm always been thinking that's why it's probably going to struggle the second weekend. But if it's this good as word of mouth comes out, I think people will still see it. August seems like a lot to go into, because I think it will just do fine and it probably get the PLFs back. I believe so. If you agree on this, Josh, because this is what I think what Top Gun have. If people want to see Maverick on the like these PLFs of IMAXs and such, they can gain him back in the following dead month of like August. And August is one of those months I think it's most hit and misses. So Twisters could actually blend well next month going to that. If the word of mouth is great, Glenn Powell's a draw, and so on, so forward. So what is going on with this with Deadpool, and what's going on with this going to Deadpool the following week, and how much will it hold this well next month?
There's a lot going on, as we said. I'm trying to get more into box office, trying to study it more. And as you said, I think we have the same idea here. This should have been put on a different date. And what's interesting about this is, in the international territories, this actually did come out last week in a lot of different territories there. But the thing
Right.
is, it could have done great last week or a week before, but probably not a week before, because that's Despicable Me. But I think a sweet spot in my eyes could have maybe been June, or starting off the summer box office, because we all know the Fall Guy flopped sadly, even though I really like that film. But this film could have even started off even better. But I think maybe
Just
a
like the
June
first
date.
one. Just like the
Yeah,
first one,
yeah.
1996.
Yeah, I think a June date could have worked a lot better for this one, because I think it is going to open pretty well with like 60 to 70 million on that opening weekend. I'm not sure what the budget is on this one, but I think it will do. Actually, I think the budget's pretty high, so they should be worried about that.
I'll say
But yeah,
this. It was
what?
200 million. And then from Variety, it said it cost 155. It's not that terrible, but it's like between. I think 155 is most optimal, and it's not bad of a budget. So if internationals brings a lot of goods and domestically it holds very well, like the first one, we could see another hit in July.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying is that probably 200 with marketing seems about right. And
Right.
as you said, hopefully it will leg out. But then we have the issue of getting to Deadpool and Wolverine next week, only 7 days from when we're filming this. Basically, Thursday night is when it comes out. And I don't know how your theater is looking right now, but my theater for the next week and a half after Deadpool starts, it still has all the premium screens. And as you said about, kind of Mission Impossible and the Barbenheimer situation, a lot of people were just going down on Mission Impossible saying, oh, it flopped. Oh, no one likes Mission Impossible anymore. But the thing is, yeah, we got to understand it didn't have time it didn't have time to make any money. And dude, everyone saved their money to go see Barbenheimer. A lot of general audiences only have the money for like maybe 2 movies a month, 1 movie a month. So that's all they save their money for. But this Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, is going to demolish it. Sadly, even though I really enjoyed this one, because I think that Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, will open up to 200 million or more next weekend. That's my official guess. And with that, I feel like you could see a pretty drastic drop for Twisters. I'm guessing you could see like over a 65% drop next week if you're not lucky. That's horrible to say as a big fan of this movie, but I think that's the really just logistic answer there. We'll see how the tracking looks off like next Thursday. But yeah, it's not looking great for how much it's going to drop. And then if we're talking about looking into August to see if it can regain those legs, I have low hope for that too, because you have a lot of decent movies coming out in August. You have Deadpool continuing through August. And then you have, this movie is like a whole family movie, and a lot of families are going to go see Deadpool. But then in August, you have like
It's
the
rated
funeral.
R though. I don't see a lot of families going out to bring their
Oh,
kids
I,
unless
I,
they're be
I think
willing
a lot of
to.
kids are going to see Deadpool.
No shit.
When I saw Deadpool 2, a lot of parents brought their kids. When I saw Long Legs last week,
Wow.
a
I
lot
did
of
not
parents
know
brought their
that.
kids.
They're willing to because
They don't care. It's crazy what
wow.
society's come to. But as I said, in August you have a lot of great movies coming out like Alien 2, so that could take the R-rated audience away from Deadpool. So maybe you could see more of the PG-13 audience go back to Twisters. But there's just so much coming out in August. It could be hard for Twisters to regain those legs. But as I said, I really hope it the best, but I feel like it's going to take like a 65% drop next week from Deadpool. I think Deadpool is going to open with like 200 million or more. It's going to be insane.
I'm gonna go with Jeff Bach, and I'm always believing this movie will do fine because PG-13. I think this is a wide appeal to many people, and I know Twister is different than Twisters, but if it's got the legacy look, baby, people that haven't seen the first can go look into this. And I know Deadpool is like the biggest thing people want to see, and you're maybe right about parents taking their kids. I mean, this is a society where kids want to see these kind of stuff and grow up and live in the world where it's like living the lives as they can with R-rated stuff like Deadpool. And you're right. So I was gonna bring up about how packed it is for Deadpool next week. If you're listening to the podcast, guys, you're not getting the story. What I have here are seating charts for the local I'm going to next Thursday night. And if you're listening to the podcast, go to the YouTube channel after this episode, and you'll see me holding up my phone of Deadpool and Wolverine at 7. I don't know if it's gonna. Oh shit!
Yeah, I can see it a little bit, but just pull it back a little bit, maybe.
Oh,
Oh,
there,
there you
there,
go.
there.
Yeah.
So that's how massive it is. I'm gonna be at that screening next Thursday with my boys,
Is that
and it
IMAX?
tells you IMAX. It's
Oh,
imagine. It's almost like IMAX, except it's not. What I'm saying is, it's gonna be a big one. I could see it almost reaching 200 at this point because you got Hugh Jackman coming back. The people love Deadpool at this point, and I know this is sort of in superhero fatigue. Deadpool in the MCU is a great choice, and I think we never seen this character in such a long time, so that's refreshing. Um, we'll see where Twister stands. I mean, I'd be so damned. And studios should not do the repetitive of putting this a week before the major competition. Because let's look at December 20th real quick. Sonic and Mufasa going against each other. I think Sonic should be moved. That's my thought.
oh, I
It's
gotta.
history repeats itself like this. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I gotta say, I gotta make 2 points here. When you're talking about the Deadpool like screens and all that, my theater has done something that I've never seen them do before. I don't know if your theater is doing this too, but you know how theaters go from like they start the Thursday showing at like 3 or 4 all the way to like 11 o'clock at night. My theater actually has the Thursday showings all the way until 3 o'clock to basically 6 a.m. on Friday. So they have like 4 a.m. times 3 a.m.
Not for
times
me.
2 a.m. times.
Not for
It's
my theater.
insane. And
Wow.
as you're saying, like the December issue, Mufasa, Sonic going at the same kind of audience there. And then I want to know how you feel about kind of like the Gladiator Wicked sense, because those are coming out on the same day too.
I think they'll be fine. It's different. It's different audiences. Gladiator's gonna be rated R. Wicked's probably gonna be PG-13. I guarantee it. It's not that bad. You know, Barbie and Oppenheimer are two different genres, two different audiences. But going to Sonic and Mufasa, they both target the same demos. I just think it's not good in a sense of that. And if we're
Sonic
looking to
should move.
Twisters, Sonic should move. If the trailers are dropping soon, so I guarantee they'll
Yeah,
move it.
win. Hopefully this
It's a
week.
better win. It's a better win. It's a better win. I mean, I
Mufasa
want to
trailer
see that.
didn't look great.
Doesn't matter. It's fucking beloved IP. No matter what, people will show up. I talked to Jeff Bach about it. He told me the same shit. It's such a beloved IP. People will see
Not for
that this.
Furiosa though. No one showed up.
Oh, don't judge Lion King, man. It's Barry Jenkins we're talking about. Back to the point, though. We don't want to get off topic. Anyways, it's too much to unravel, but what I'm saying is Twisters is likely in the problem where Mission Impossible lost in the shuffle with Barbenheimer. Twisters can end up doing the same thing. Get probably lost, but Deadpool and Wolverine is just one movie. I know it's just gigantic, and August might be some hit and misses. I mean, let's not bring up Borderlands because I think it's going to have issues next month. Other than
Oh, I
that,
think, yeah, in quality and in box office.
other than that, I think he'll have some redeeming chances to go into next month. I think he'll just drop either this harsh, but picks up well. I mean, we'll see where Twister stands. So, box office opening weekend, what prediction? What are your what's your number you think it's gonna go make?
Well, I would say we both follow the same guy. I always forget his name. You always say his name.
Jeff
Can you
Bach
know Jeff? Okay, okay.
from
Uh,
from Exhibitor Relations Co. on Twitter.
yes, I follow him a lot. I've been learning from him. I'm gonna say if I have to give a straight prediction, no like a range on this, I'm gonna go for 66 million, 66 on the dot right there. That's my guess.
I'm going 56.3, and I made this prediction on to Luis Fernando's Twitter, where he plays those games where
He's
anyone
been
can break the box.
lowballing though.
He's low, yeah, sort of.
They're fighting
So
it out.
my prediction is 56.3, and the drop you said it's gonna be like 65. I mean, yeah, 60s is concerning if it drops in that, but it just drops under 60s. Not a concern. I mean, we'll see where this stands. It's got a little room. I mean, July isn't that much crowded. I mean, we got a kids movie, Despicable Me. You have Long Legs, which is doing crazy business for the viral marketing sake. Twisters, a natural disaster, and a superhero movie. That seems to do fine in different genres of audiences. But the marketplace, we're on a roll box office after May. So I could sense when Bad Boys went against a juggernaut, it still hold fine. But I can sense the budget is lower than Twisters. So there's a possibility on that Twister's budget could be oversaturated to break even profitably. And so
Well,
I'm
I do
guessing
want
he'll
to
drop.
kind of say
Go
that
ahead.
we're kind of recording this before the Thursday numbers come in, so it's even harder for us to guess here. And this is distributed by Universal. I'm pretty sure. I think it was Universal.
Yeah,
So
domestically.
we'll have to see if they're going to pull that same bullshit of them doing that 13-day window going to digital. That will
Oh,
be
dude.
big sign
That'd
of the
be
lake right there.
fucking terrible, dude. At
That would
this
be pretty
point,
horrible.
Universal. That'd be
But
horrible.
if it drops anything below 60% next week, and I feel like that'll be good, as you said. But it's over 65, and if it has a 7 in front of it, like I really hope it doesn't, but under 60 would be good for next week.
Difference is, not to mention, Debt Reckoning had an inflated budget. So Twisters doesn't have that. So we'll see. We'll see. Is there anything else? I think that covers everything. I mean, Deadpool is going to be gigantic this week. I'm excited. I'll be having, of course, I don't know if you know him, and to the people listening and watching, I'll be having a returning guest, David Thompson, coming on I Screen, You Scream 4, number 4 movies. And him and I will be dishing on that movie and Twisters as well. A little on the box office news as well. So that's coming up next episode. Deadpool is going to be a it's going to be a huge, insane weekend. And man, I have to see the other Deadpool movies as well to
I
compare
gotta get your
quality.
thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine when it comes in.
Oh,
I gotta talk to you.
it'll be drop for sure. It'll
Dude,
drop.
it's
You'll
gonna
be
go
as long as
crazy.
you stay subscribed, you'll be ready to
Sure.
listen.
Well, I
Anyways,
gotta ask you though, where do you think, like just finishing off on Twisters, where do you think it ranks in your yearly list so far of favorite movies?
right now it's in top 10. I
Same, I
do
think
love
I have
this
it
for sure.
10
Top 10.
or 11.
It's definitely a theatrical experience. You want to really live into it. So I wasn't planning to rewatch it anyway. So, but I do think it's really good. So happens to be enjoyable. All right, we're going to 45 minutes. But Josh, is there anything else we should bring a little bit before we cut this episode off?
I don't really know if there's anything else to bring out. I think we brought up
Nothing.
basically everything. We
Yeah.
said we both enjoyed the movie. We've discussed how it could, Deadpool and Wolverine could bring another big twister towards Twisters in this sense. But yeah, I just want to finish it off and say, I think this summer has been pretty great in quality for our movies. If you're not out there going to go see them, I do recommend going to go see some of these. There are some great ones in July, as we said. Despicable Me, Long Legs, this. Go out and see a movie. Go out and see them all before Deadpool comes in and takes all the premium screens, as we said. That's my final thought. Just go see all these great summer blockbusters.
And
Just so much fun.
get some free air conditioning too, because they'll charge you service fee. But other than that, free AC. If you're trying to get out of the hotness out, the theater's where it's at. You get all the AC cooling, pretty much where it's at. I forgot to put out the score and ranking stars. I was gonna say I give Twisters 8.5, 4 stars.
I give it an 8 out of 10 on first watch and 4 stars as well. And as I said, it's in like position number 10 or 11 for my favorites for the year so far.
That's cool. All right, Josh. Where can the people find your content and where they can follow you?
They can find me on my YouTube channel, Josh Titan, on the road to 1,000 subscribers. If you want to find me on other social medias, I'm on Twitter, Letterboxd. The links are on the YouTube, so I'm not really going to say all those. But yeah, Josh Titan on the YouTube would be the best place to find me and all my other links.
I'll be leaving all those in the description box of this episode, y'all. So go check them out. But for me, guys, if you're enjoying this, subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening to the audio, if you're watching this through YouTube, got my number 4 is up, and you're not getting the whole story if you're listening just to the podcast. You'll begin to see me, Josh's face. He's got the Universal hats. He's got a nice T-shirt, and you gotta subscribe to the podcast. You gotta subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see my face as like another way to enjoy content as well. So subscribe to the YouTube if you are watching this through the YouTube. My Twitter and TikTok will both be in the show notes of the description of the episode. So you'll get to find my videograms of clips and tweets and whatnot. And I do TikTok reviews on as well. I'll be doing the one for Twisters as we speak once it drops. And my Letterboxd will, of course, be up as well. So anyone as a Letterboxer can check out my Letterboxd. And, of course, you'll check Josh's Letterboxd as well. And that's where you can find more of the reviews and so forth. But Deadpool next week, gonna be a wild one. So, guys, until then, this is Dan Escamlaji signing off of I Screen, You Scream 4, number 4 movies. Until then, stay screaming for the movies. See you guys then. Peace.